Hey and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we will look at the ZESUPER. ZESUPER. For you is super. What's in this box? As you saw the title already, it's supposed to be a winch. And it actually is a winch. Not any winch, it's a ZESUPER 9,500 pound winch. They call it a four-wheeled winch. And what I'm doing in this video, we will be installing this on the Jeep Wrangler. Up there is a video where I installed a new front bumper, a stubby front bumper, which can accommodate a winch. It can accommodate multiple different winches depending the one you want to get for yourself and your car. But this video will focus on a Jeep Wrangler JL 2020 in terms of how we do the configuration or how we do the wiring from this winch to the battery, as well as using the MTNTOPCN bumper. This video will focus on installing the winch, setting everything up, configuring it, looking at in the box as well, of course, what's in it, maybe what additionally stuff you might need afterwards. And I want to make it as easy as possible, focusing on the Jeep Wrangler JL 2020. Unlimited support in my case is really just the wiring from the winch to the battery and making sure everything is wired up appropriately and works afterwards as it's supposed to be. So this winch, we'll take a look in the box now. So this is a winch. It had some damage on this side, so it's open broken, but so far I didn't see any big damage on the winch itself. But when opening it up, you do have a couple things laying on top already. One is this hook, which has a little bend here as well, but that's something I will talk about later. You might want to replace it anyways with something different, just that it's not rattling around. So like this, but you don't have to, you can just use it as it comes. Additionally, we have this remote control, which is a wired remote control. So here we can see it. That's all it does. We do have a little bright neon colored orange ZESUPER, which you can hang in front of it if you want to advertise them. Of course, that's possible. Then we have a negative wire, which is here. Something I took out already is the installation hardware, which we will need. There's a pattern which this winch covers, so it's a standard pattern for winches. This one covers it, so no issues on that. I checked already because that was the most important part. And then when you take it out underneath, that's where the winch should be. Well, actually it was, right? So just broken styrofoam, but it works so far. And there is a cover as well. In case you don't need it, you don't want to make it dirty, you just want to you don't want to expose it to the elements all the time. And that's all there is in the box. Whoa, this is the winch. So the winch does not come like this in a box, but it comes with this solenoid box here, which is the control box. The most important, where positive and negative from the battery goes in, and then it sends it out to the winch itself. So that's something we have to assemble before we put it onto the bumper. Just that we have everything properly set up and wired up. Also, we do have this front plate to lead and put in front of the front bumper, basically. So this is not a sharp edge or anything. It's just a nice and smooth surface, so the wire is not breaking or rubbing or something. And then, of course, we do have the winch itself. And here we have the entire winch, just you get a better idea of what it looks like. Here's the engager or disengage functionality or switch, basically. Then we have here on this side the entire negative, positive, negative, as well as the yellow wire, which I'm not 100% familiar what it is, but we'll get there when we assemble it. And therefore we will use the 9,500 pound capacity off-road vehicle winch ZESUPER manual. And this manual, it's pretty good. I feel like it has a lot of information. And for our rope, and that's the interesting part here in this little rated single line pull, and it's 9,500 pound application vehicle recovery for trucks and SUVs. Motor has a 12 volt 5.5 horsepower series wound. The sound rating is 85 decibel. The weight is around 55 pound, so it has something heavy to it. It It has a winch certificate, CE, IP rating IP67, that's great. What I'm looking at is also the speed, pendant control, duty cycle rating. There are the worn winches, the high brand, super expensive stuff. So that's always something which you can go with as well. This is a little cheaper, more affordable, might do the job when you don't have to recover yourself too many times, maybe just to have it in peace of mind, you know, stuff like that. And that's basically what I want to have. So going ahead, there are some operational precautions. You should read through that before you use it. It's very detailed, I feel like. It's nice. And then we have the wiring page here. And that's the one we will refer to now when we set everything up with the solenoid box. Connecting it properly, that's very important. And then there is also the page for operation. So this video today will focus mainly on the installation. There will be another video where I want to use it and want to test it actually with the Jeep when it's installed, and hopefully nothing breaks afterwards. So that's the intention, that's the goal. So that means for operation, we'll just take a brief look, especially clutch engagement, what I said already, clutch engagement here. So kind of interesting what they have. I really like that they have a nice manual, paper manual you can take in your hands, you can read through it. And yeah, also the duty cycle, very important. So read through it before you use it. What are we going to do? We'll assemble it and we'll go from there. So additionally, what I can see also in the description is it has a strong 265:1 gear ratio for this 12 volt 5.5 horsepower. The wireless remote, which is also included, and I didn't show you because it's tight, strapped on somewhere here. You can go 65 feet away and it should be still functioning. So that's nice to read. And here, and it does have a synthetic rope, and which you should look into if you want to have the synthetic rope or a conventional one. But synthetic definitely has some advantages too, that it's when it snaps, it doesn't fly around, it just falls down. So this is not a steel rope. It is 3/8 times 78 foot long, and it's made of 12 fine stranded ropes. So this entire orange one. If you don't like orange, there are other ones which are higher rated, same manufacturer, and they have a different color scheme as well. So in case you want to just have a different color, but you should not go for something you want to winch. Make sure that it's rated appropriately. For example, my Jeep is I think it's rated about 5,600 pound or something, 5,400 pounds. The more stuff you put on, the heavier it gets, the more load the winch should be able to pull. So look into that. Very, very important. And then the line speed is something which is very important as well, I think. So line speed for this one, you can see here. All right, let's get to it and just set it up, I would say. And therefore, I'll look into the manual for the wiring. So you can, for example, mount the solenoid on top of here, like this, and then you have all the wiring back behind here, and then you can route it into the car to the battery. You just have to make sure that wires are long enough. They recommend a 2-gauge wire because it needs a lot of power. As much as I saw here in the specification, it might need up to, where was that? So on how you do that, the solenoid on the back side has those Phillips screws, so you can just loosen them and tighten them down. So this comes almost pre-assembled. The only thing you need to do is connecting this up here. Therefore you can basically like this, and then you can move it around however you want to have it, or you can mount it somewhere other than this. So you just tighten down those screws. What will happen, that's something I don't like about it, honestly, but you will damage this material up here, which I'm not a big fan of. I think you can see it. Looks like that's the way to go. I double checked if there's anything else I can do, but no, that's the way to do it. So I'll do it. Unfortunately, don't like it. And then when you do that, when you tighten it down, it tries to move all the time. It's just putting more pressure on here, so you can see that's what's happening. So there we are. So at the end, it should look like this. And then it's pretty tough, tight. So that's what they're calling it. And that's what he's saying. All right. If they want it like that, we'll do it. I'll try to follow this little drawing. So it means we have the long red, the long separate plaque wire, which we'll do later. So now we have a plaque coming out of the solenoid, a red, shorter one, and a yellow, as well as a little tiny plaque one. So we'll route them, and what is nice, so what's nice about this already, here on this side you can see this one is a red, black, yellow. So it is pretty straightforward. Right now we don't have any power on it, so I'll just loosen everything and do connect them. When doing that, check out, make sure that the wires go back if possible, and then when you have connected it, put on the washer, the split washer, and afterwards the nut. And we're dealing with a 13 millimeter. So we'll tighten that one down. And then we have this cover, this boot, which we can just slide over. And that one should cover this pretty well. It's a very tight fit, but make sure it covers it. Nice, because it will also isolate it in case something touches. So we'll do the same here with the red, the short red, by the way, right? That means same. We'll go underneath here in the back, because this one is a little same length or short, I don't know, but further away. That's the red one. Now we'll tighten this one down as well. There we go. And then we'll slide this cover on. There we are. There we are. Dang. And then we have the yellow. And that's quite interesting because it feels like they're getting shorter and shorter. The yellow goes around here, so we'll try to slide it maybe. That looks like. So here we are. Let's see, I think we have to go like this. Tightening it down. There we are. Be careful not poking it as mentioned, but you want to get it over. What we can do, we can push this over a little bit more. Because I feel like this is maybe too far away. Like this, it's maybe a little easier. And there we go. God, that was pretty difficult. Now you can slide this a little bit further if you want to away. Just make sure everything is tied together pretty well. All right, and by the way, this one is for the remote control, which you can plug in, the wired one. So there's a connection here, which is also black, and this one is for the negative wire, which they gave us separately. I have to see how long it is, because we want to route it into the car, into the engine area, because that's where we need to connect it to the car. I didn't show you this part, but you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. There's the bolt pattern we do have, so that means from eye to eye it's 10, up here as well 10, and here we do have around 4.5, I believe. Let's go over, and by the way, take the installation hardware we have and what we will need. Okay, so as you can see here, we have a nice tray up here. We have the bolts here, which go there, and this one I need to loosen and make sure this is an appropriate distance, and then I have to put on at front, most likely. We'll see if I need this at all. I need to put on the cover. That's something I would need to secure first, because I need to move this around. So let's get the winch here. All those wires back there need to be squeezed behind. Okay, and it would be basically something like this. Before we do that, let me add the negative wire as well, so everything is here secured. The negative wire, the 2-gauge wire, as well as this little one from Solenoid, going to the negative straight to the battery here. Now we're going to install this cover. For the installation of this winch cover here, we will be using those bolts. There are two different bolts. This is a shorter bolt, what they provided. And we'll use this one and put it in the right orientation, how you want to have it. Then we'll put on back split washer, washer, split washer, and the provided nut. That's number one. Then we have number two, this side. I don't know why it's not black. Black would be great, but it is what it is. This might be a little more tricky because it doesn't even fit all the way in. The front, it's hard to tighten because I don't have the appropriate tools to tighten it. So I'm using plier on the front, but yeah, I'm not a fan of the solution. 90 millimeter in the back for the nut. And now I'll use the hex bolt back here. Just slide it a little bit more towards the front. Give it more space. These many wires. You will see before we can get the set of bolt, washer and split washer into from the bottom. By the way, you have to use those square nuts, slide them in here, and they will basically wait for the bolt on the other side. So you have to do it first before you put it on. Alright, look at that. So, ZESUPER. Looks good, nice and flush. This one is also good. Then we have the winch installation itself. I have to still route this through. We'll get there when everything is set up. So then we have the wires here, so that's something I do not like so much, but as long as they're loose and don't have too much pressure. And this one I have to wire up now and basically feed through into the engine to the battery. We'll do that now. Here's the battery, negative and positive. And we somehow need to feed all the wires here also on this side underneath, ideally. And that's something you do not want to mess with, that it's somewhere where it's spinning, where it gets squeezed, where it's getting hot. All those hot spots you want to avoid. And I'll try to find that here with me. I'll try to go along the frame maybe first, and then I'll get them up here or here at the front. Maybe I can get them underneath here, this air intake without taking the air intake out, so I can just lead it through somewhere here, and then I'm popping out here. So that would be the ideal solution. And then I use some zip ties, I guess, tied to the existing wires or whatnot, so I can connect it here. So we'll see how that works. Here we have the negative and the positive. I have to route them, make them a little more pretty. They go underneath the frame, behind the plastic here. Make sure they don't squeeze anything. I did take out from my installation the air intake, so you can see the red and black wire coming up. I'll route them nicely, tuck them down, then they connect here to negative and positive side. And that's all, and it's connected. Well, there we are. I'd say the routing is probably the only thing you really need to make sure it's probably set up and think about it. But there we have it. Also here, this ring shackles there, or hook, in this case. Set up, engage. I can connect now my winch remote. That means I'm taking this one, plunging it in. Let me disengage it. Right now the engine is off, so it shouldn't run it too long, but it is working. I'm gonna engage it. And it will just work fine. You can just turn the knob here or the switch to disengage, and then you can just pull it out as a normal regular winch. So that's how it works, and that's all there is to you. So you can now engage it again and then say in, or in this case here, in here, and then you can see it flowing in. That's one option you have. There's a second. The second is the remote, the wireless remote. And how to turn it on? I have to put it down because I cannot do both. You have to push both buttons out and in for 5 seconds. And then a red light will illuminate. And the red light is here. It's hard to see, I think. There we go. And now you can use it as well. Then you hear the winch. So for out, it's going out. And it's going in. And to turn it off, pretty much the same. Hold for 5 seconds, out and in. It's actually less than 5 seconds, but it works. And one thing to keep in mind, the winch has always power, so that's something I try to resolve, because I don't like that. At least I want to have something inside where I can turn it on and off. That's something I have to work on, so. But that's how this little winch works. And here it is with the back tight. Should be better protect against the environment. ZESUPER. When using the winch, I would recommend always having the engine running, because this one is drawing a lot of amps, so you need to reproduce the power it is using immediately, because otherwise you're draining your battery and you might destroy your battery as well. But that's all. The installation set up. I have now drive around and test it and see if it holds on and what I think about it. So I will do that. And if you have any questions about installation, any wiring questions, anything else specific to my Jeep and also this winch, let me know. There's a link in the description below as well as other models available with more capacity, of course, not only 9,500 pounds. I hope you enjoyed that. It was a pretty simple and straightforward installation, so let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Cheers!